works. Evening. I am Mr. Broviak, the Heroes Team English teacher, one of the directors for Camp Tecumseh. Also here with Mr. Sturgeon from the Globetrotters team, Mr. Fossil, and then also Mrs. Kletch over there. Thank you guys all for coming as we sort of walk you guys through how Camp Tecumseh is going to work. For us, we are going to be going the third week in April. As I tell the kids, the first week in April is spring break. We get to come back. We have a week of being normal. And then that third week is when we all head out to Camp Tecumseh. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is when the heroes go and the first half of the STARS alphabet. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is the other half of the school, which is the Globetrotters, and then the second half of the STARS alphabet. The reason being, camp is simply not large enough to have everyone there at one time, so we have to split it over the course of the week. Location-wise, it's about a 90-minute trip for us. It is up north near where Lafayette is, and so it's up a bit more east from there as we go up there. As I tell the kids on the bus ride up, it's a fast bus ride because as we go up, they're super excited. On the way back, they're exhausted and they sleep almost the entire time. So it's out in the woods up near Brookston
and Delphi.
Brookston and Delphi, to give you a rough idea. It is $135, and that covers the food while they're up there, paying camp, paying buses, stuff like that. I told kids in class that money is an issue as it gets closer to it. We've never not taken a kid because of money issues. Just contact me, or if you're on the STARS team, contact Mrs. Kletch or Mr. Stump, and then we have scholarships, we have ways of trying to find money to help out. We never want a kid to miss out on this experience, especially if it's because of a money issue. You just have to contact us. We'll find a way to work things out from there. Other than that, we are looking for the money to be turned in before spring break. We're aiming for that Thursday beforehand. If, again, money issues, you need longer to pay it off, absolutely fine. You just have to let us know. We'll work around things as needed. It just allows us to keep track of money-wise to get things locked in by then. You can do it by cash or check. Mrs. Kletch over here is the one who's taking care of all the payments. This year we have the really nice benefit that you can now do it through the e-fund process. If you don't like doing the cash or check and make the payments through that way, it makes things way easier as far as that goes. And so we take any of those three options to make your life easy. All right, what is Camp Tecumseh? It is outdoor education, but in an educational way that the kids most likely have never experienced before, except for a handful of kids who have done camping activities. As I told my kids, too many students of this age think that outdoors is something you do on Minecraft, which involves punching a tree down. And that's not how actual outdoors work. And so it's the idea of going out there, and they're going to be doing lessons, science, math, English, social studies, but a lot of it is hiking and interacting with nature, and there's actual animals that go running through the wood and birds that you get to see while we're out there. And so it's all of these different things that go into it that we realize just a lot of kids don't get to experience anymore. And so it's that once-in-a-lifetime trip to go out and see these things. Camp Tecumseh is 224 acres, and as I tell them, they have no idea how big that is. They don't know how big an acre is or how big 224 is. But it's a lot. It's enough to easily get lost in, which is why they're going to be with the high school counselors that are going to be leading them through there. So it's not an issue for them to get lost, but it's big enough that you could. They're going to be in a group of kids between, it says 8 to 10 there, but we're usually between 6 to 9 probably this year with our goat. And then we're going to have 2 high school kids that are in their group helping them as they go through. And so it's a much more, not one-to-one, but smaller class size while they're through hiking, learning, going in the woods and stuff like that. So we as teachers are not taking them around throughout the day. They are going to be led by a group of high schoolers that we spend the next 6 weeks training. So starting next week, we begin doing the hiring and interviewing process, which lasts a couple weeks. And then we're going to start bringing them in for lessons where we teach them how to take these kids out and go hiking around. We do sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and we take a wide variety of counselors because we've realized there's a wide variety of kids. Some of the kids are going to be our anime nerds, some of them are going to be the athletic kids, and so we try to hire counselors where we, Mr. Fossil and I, who set up the groups, try to do our best to match up counselors to the groups of kids. so that the counselors have a good time and the kids have a really good time while we're there. And as I tell the kids in class, my goal is I love camp and I want them to love it as much as I do. So I try to do everything I can to make it fun for them and for them to enjoy it. And part of that is putting that with friends that they're going to enjoy, giving them counselors that I trust. Almost all of these counselors, 95% of them came through Fisher's Junior High, and so they're ones that we have history with, that we've known for 4 and 5 years before we even get a chance to hire them. And so they're going to be out leading your kids to the woods, and these are the kids, the counselors that I trusted my own kids with when they came here, the same idea. What do we do? A lot while we were there. To give you a small idea, so this is one of the counselor groups that you'll see where you have the 2 counselors that are leading and the groups going together. You'll see that they have some interesting outfits going on. One of the things we encourage our counselors to do is they theme their groups to sort of give that buy-in for kids. And so you'll have ones that dress up in superhero outfits, or they're dressed up in Hawaiian outfits, and they'll bring all these different things for them to join in. So it gives the group, the different small groups, this ownership and belonging and club-like feel to it as they take them around throughout the entire camp experience.
That counselor, by the way, is now 37 years old. That is Laura Feeney, who was valedictorian at HSC, I think in 1999.
Some of our pictures go way back. We've been doing this for a long time. We have a lot of experience with it. And so the way we set it up with our counselors and the kids is that we have a lesson book that they'll be going through, but we're big on choice. And so there'll be a lot of lessons that they have to do that we've picked out that are the primary ones that are important, and then they get choice of other ones, where as a group they get to work together and discuss. For this next science one, do you want to do one that involves going in near the water and figuring out which things are growing in the water, or do you guys want to do a hiking one? And so they can sort of discuss back and forth as a group, and we've discovered by giving them the ownership over which ones they do, the kids enjoy it a lot more. And so over the years, we have culled all off the ones that the kids didn't ever choose, and we sort of brought in new ones that the counselors come up with and suggest to us, and then we find ways to work them into standards and connect them. And so over the years, we've gotten quite the collection of lessons that kids dig. It usually becomes much more of an issue of the kids having more lessons to choose from that they would enjoy than ones that they are forced to do, which is the way we would want it to be. The same thing with the language arts, social studies. The 4 main areas we hit, there's going to be science, math, English, and then social studies. So the 4 main areas they're going to be doing lessons over while they're there. And it just sort of is split between those. So science and math being the 2 major ones that we're going to do. English, they're going to do a whole lot of writing, and then because of the history and the social studies connection to it, they're going to find the background that goes into Camp Tecumseh. This is the little bridge that leads into one of the little camping areas and the hiking areas that's there. We enjoy having the kids enjoy themselves while they're there. So this is a really sturdy bridge that goes over this little creek area. And when you get to it, if you're one of the parents that joins us, you'll see is the fact that this is a really well-built bridge. Kids are really gullible. So when we first get there, we tell them it's a rickety bridge, and you can only have one kid walk on this bridge at a time or the whole thing falls apart. And so the first day we're there, you'll see kids in a line, and they'll sprint across the bridge screaming to get to the other side, and then the next one comes across. And the favorite thing is when we sit there, then you watch the camp staff come down, and they just walk by in a group. And you see the kids look at us, and we just start laughing. They have no idea. And you look at one look at the bridge, like there's no way it's going to fall apart, nor do we send you across it. But it's part of the lore we've built about camp that just makes it fun. We do a number of activities throughout the time that we're there. One of the big ones being canoeing. We have canoed in all types of weather. It's Indiana, so we've been there when it's nice and sunny. We've been there when it's snowing. I've had kids that go out there canoeing in short sleeves. I've seen kids canoeing in winter coats. And so we cover it all. They get to wear they have to wear the life vest while they're there. I've been surprised. This year I've had a lot of kids who keep asking if they have to wear a life vest. And I'm like, yes. If they don't want to do it, if a kid is hydrophobic and is afraid of going near the water, they're more than welcome to sit out of those. But a lot of kids have never gotten a chance to canoe before. Just being out on the water with a paddle. We have 3 of them in the boat, and they get to come back and then rotate through. There's a science thing they get to do where they have to dip a little turbidity thing into the water where you can sort of, I don't know, science words are hard, where you have to dip it into the water and see sort of how the different shades of the water are, and they dip and try to find protists and things that are in the water.
It's like combining 9 different lessons into one.
Yeah,
But that's
it's
okay.
That's why you have me to write for.
I can spell most of them. And so the kids get a chance. The kids just like the fact they get to go do the little paddling thing and then going around, they get to the dipping. The counselors are the ones who know the important things. They get to lead them through it. I know how to spell most of the words. And so that's the canoeing they can do is one of our mini activities. This is where we get a chance to have them do this outdoor rock wall climbing. And there's 3 different levels of it, like an easy, the medium, and the hard ones. At the very top up there, we tell them there's a chocolate owl, and they get a chance to scamper up to the top of them, which is a fun thing for them to do. And it's amazing to watch some of these kids who have never had a chance to do the rock climbing and how much they buy into it and enjoy it. And it's never the kids you think would be the good climbers are. I always tell them it's the small ones, the teams that scamper the best like little squirrels. When they put the little strap on, they just run right up the little side of it. And so it's fun watching them get a chance to interact. They get a chance to do little climbing walls and stuff like that.
Sorry.
That's fine. In the background, if you see up the little multicolored thing, that's a balloon we're going to get to here in a moment, where they get a chance to build a balloon that's going to go flying through the air. So that's a little added thing. This is the black hole, where they're going to get a chance. This is where you get to apply more of the science and mathy things. There are these 2 black tubes that they go sledding down, and they have to use math to figure out velocity, speed that goes into it, which one is going to be going faster. And so it's another, it looks like basic sledding, but it's that fun thing that they get to go down this dark tube. There's screaming and there's giggling that's involved. And then they get the little lessons that connect to it. They figure out that you have to use a sled because it cuts down on the friction, so you get to use, as I tell them, it's like the applied science and applied math, which makes it fun.
That's my daughter who's now married.
Again, our pictures go way back. We've been doing this a long time. So here is the balloon flying. When I first tell them that they're going to be doing hot air balloons, they get really excited. Then I tell them you're going to make your own hot air balloons, they get even more excited. And then I tell them you're not riding in the hot air balloon, and you can watch their excitement go down. Like, we're not having you build a balloon that you're going up in. That does not end well. But it's made out of like the tissue paper that you use for like wrapping presents or putting the presents and stuff like that. And the joy is we fly the little balloons and they go up in the trees and they have to figure out which direction it's going to go. It goes into a wind speed. In the building of it, they have to figure out how the weight works going in. And the joy is there's these trees that go all around the outside of camp. And the competition becomes, can you get your balloon to go over it to the very edge of the camp area? And the joy for the heroes and the stars that are here is that we get to go the first half, and as I tell the kids, all of these trees around camp will be covered in these balloons for when the Globetrotters show up, and it looks like there's little rainbow carcasses just hanging throughout all of these trees when the next bus shows up, and it just becomes this fun experience of the kids getting a chance to point up.
Yeah, not all the balloons end up in that tree, do they, Mr. Brogan?
The important balloons end up in the tree. The problem is we light them
Like 3 a session don't end up, right?
with a barn heater that shoots out flame, and apparently flame and tissue paper don't go well together, which is why teachers have to do the flying of the balloons.
Not all teachers are good
And
at
sometimes, some teachers have a tendency to get overexcited and try to fill it with as much hot air as possible to help them
it. There's an
fly.
irony to this,
And then sometimes too much hot air is not good for tissue paper.
especially for the camp director's truck.
It's not important who set a balloon on fire that landed on the camp director's truck. And there's no pictures of it with me in it.
Oh, I should have added that.
You should not have added that because there's no pictures with me
Oh,
and
no.
the truck in it.
Okay, we're shifting PowerPoints at some point.
So I tell the kids that we do square dancing in class, and it's fun to watch the roller coaster of emotions when they hear square dancing, and they go, ugh. And I'm like, but it's not the square dancing you would think. It's much more just organized dancing. So we do like YMCA, the cha-cha slide. There are some of the more traditional ones in there. And I tell them that if you don't want to dance, you don't have to. You can sit to the side. And every year we have maybe one kid who sits to the side. We'll have a handful that start to the side and then watch everyone dancing. And for the parents who go, it is awesome. you'll watch your kid jump around and dance and act like a small kid and love every minute of it. And the kids who go, the square dancing is the #1 fun thing there. It's what I choose to do, and I help run square dancing every night there. And it is jumping around and singing and dancing, and the kids get into it from there. And so it's fun watching the kids buy into this. And so they have like this big room. We have this guy, Dale Cooper, who's been coming
Over 30 years, 30 years.
forever, longer than our pictures exist. And he's been calling these, and so he has this great personality, and so he brings the kids into it. And so it's this all-over fun experience that goes into it while they're there.
You could point out fossil on the ground. and getting
I am not an attacky person. It's not important who may or may not have fallen in the middle of square dancing while we got a picture.
I was thrown.
So the evenings, the first evening that we're there, we have one of our professional storytellers, Mr. Jackson, come in. And so we have the kids, we gather together into one of the buildings, and he has props he brings in, and he goes through a whole storytelling thing and runs through stories with the kids and acts them out and performs them. And they're not ghost stories, although one of them deals with a skeleton, but not really a ghost. Anyway. And so it's these stories that the kids then get enthralled and get a chance to listen to. The second night, instead of doing the stories, the teachers and the high school kids do skits where we embarrass ourselves for the kids. And so we may or may not wear princess costumes and then dance around in front of the kids and do our best to embarrass ourselves to sort of give the kids that sense of belonging that goes into it. There should be no pictures of what happens for this. What do we do?
I actually don't think I have a picture of that.
Yeah, I definitely don't have pictures.
Getting those.
We do a lot. It is both scheduled and open at the same time. And so we have set times where the kids have to be places, but then there are blocks of times where their counselor is going to be taking them hiking through the woods, where the counselor will be having them doing activities and lessons. And then we have check-in times. And so the idea is it's regimented where they have to be, but at the same time, there's enough freedom for them to be able to go get stuff, get things done. And we have things built in. We don't call it recess, it's called free time. But that way, because they're there long enough that it's sort of like a 45-minute time to run around and blow off steam and play games and talk to other people and stuff like that. So the whole time they're there, we're busy, and they are worn out. So that bus ride home, they are sleeping. Is this school? Yes and no. They're doing lessons, they're getting grades, they are learning. It is not school in the traditional sense at all. And so that's why I tell them, I'm like, when you go to this, it's school, but it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for school. It is not a type of learning that you're probably ever going to get a chance to do again. You're going to get grades, but you're not going to feel like you're doing work while you're there. Because over the course of these 3 days, the learning that you're doing is just built into the activities that are occurring. So even though you're doing writing or doing math or doing a science experiment, it doesn't feel like it's happening. It just goes by so quick for them. We will have weather. It's Indiana. There's no way to avoid that. There's going to be rain at some point during that week. It's just always the gamble. Is it the heroes' time or the Globetrotters' time? And so we always cross our fingers it's like Wednesday because then we both have to suffer. And so that becomes the game. So we've had the years where even in late April, we've had snow. And so right before we leave that weekend, I will, and then Mr. Stumpf will then send out like a packing list and let you guys know what the weather's going to be. We will keep track of that as long as you're getting our emails and stuff like that. We will send that out to you, let you guys have some idea. So we'll be on top of that, let you guys know what to expect weather-wise. We got a great deal on buses. And so we have the yellow buses that will get a chance to go up. Again, it's a 90-minute trip, but the way up is super fast because they're so excited and stoked. The way back, they're exhausted, so it doesn't really matter. Medicine. So we have a nurse who goes with us up to camp. And so if kids take medicine, she is the one that is in control of all of that. When you have the kids take the nighttime meds, morning meds, lunch meds, stuff like that, she will be in control. We will have you bring in the medicine, in a meeting coming up later as we get closer to it.
Yeah.
And so those of you who have medicine questions, we'll take care of all that. We'll send out more information to you. And so we'll take care of the meds. We're well familiar with all of those.
The big thing that the nurse wants me to let everybody know for that is It must come in the original bottle, but we don't want all 90. So if you have a 3-month prescription of something, we only need the ones that we have to give at that time, because we don't want to lose something or anything like that. So you have to have the original bottle. The other thing is if you have a prescription that sometimes comes up last minute, like my kid's suddenly on antibiotics for a sinus infection, and it needs refrigerated. As soon as you have it, please let us know, but we understand that some of those need dropped off the day of. And we've taken those as well.
So the food is outstanding. Well, yes? Sorry.
If you're chaperoning with your child, are you allowed to give them their medication, or does the nurse need to?
You can keep it.
Okay.
We trust you.
Okay.
The food is outstanding while we're there. And I tell the kids, especially the boys, use pretty much as much as you want to eat while we're there. It's single meal, whereas like at night we all, or like for evening dinner, we all eat the same thing, like chicken nuggets and tater tots, whatever it's going to be. And then you just simply can have as much as you want. Those kids who are vegetarians, they have fruit and vegetable options at every meal. In the past, they've had a salad bar that they've had access to. In the morning time, they do have cereal with sugar in it. They also have real food for like people who like to eat like pancakes and sausages. They have that too. They also have a yogurt bar and a fruit bar. So there's tons of options while the kid's there. The only problem is if we have a kid that's a picatarian, where they only eat things that are red and shaped like triangles, then that becomes a bit more of an issue. But beyond that, any other kid, you should be good to go. Oh, food allergies. If it's a severe food allergy, camp has a form that you can fill out, and then they will help take care of that. So you will sort of bypass that, bypass us, and camp will interact with you directly and help take care of any major food allergy options. So they're well versed in all things along those lines.
And we'll send a link out about the food allergy link to contact camp at the end of February. They don't want things too early because they get schools coming in all the time. And so it'll be a link. If your kid like mine, I have 2 boys, both allergic to peanuts. They do nothing with peanuts because every child is allergic to peanuts now. So you don't have to contact them and tell them that they have a peanut allergy, because that will not be affected by that. But if it's anything else, you just put in a little form, and then the director will get back with you and will say, this is the plan for the meal that week. You don't need to worry about anything. Or if it's something significant, they'll go, okay, let's figure out what we're going to do. And sometimes just a side dish, but if it's something consistent, they will talk with you. But that is you and Camp Tecumseh will work that out. But they're really good about it.
This gives you an idea of what our cabins are. They are very nice cabins. The kids sleep on mattresses. We have between 10 to 15 kids in the cabins. There's indoor plumbing, indoor showers. I did give the kids a heads up. The water in there is well water. And so there's some kids like, and so you know it has the eggy smell. But the water you drink is filtered. So all that's fine. I drink a ton of water and it's fine. It's just for the showers you'll have that. But other than that, they're not air conditioned, but they are heated. But it's Indiana in April at nighttime, so you don't really have to worry about the air. It's always going to be the heat issue, so we're good to go as far. There's no bugs, no spiders. That's the other thing the kids ask. So I tell them, as long as you don't smash food onto the ground, you're not going to have a bug issue. Does everyone go? Just about. Every year, we'll probably have about 10 kids who stay behind, either because of discipline issues or because of parental request. But our goal is to have every kid go if we can. If you don't want your child to go, we understand. The bigger issue will be worried about like a physical ailment or something like that you are afraid that's going to hold them back. We have dealt with almost anything that you can possibly imagine. 15 years ago, we had a girl who was blind with the white stick. We took her. She had a great time at camp. We've done wheelchairs at camp. We've taken kids who are allergic to grass to camp. We've had a number of kids with bedwetting issues. We've worked through all stuff like that. Almost anything you can imagine that your kid may suffer from, if they want to go to camp, we will find a way to make it happen. We want to leave no kid behind. We've been doing this long enough. We know how much of an impact camp has on kids, how much fun they have there. We will find a way to have any kid go who wants to go, as long as it's not a behavior issue that's out of our hands. Sometimes there are decisions made above our head that we can't overrule. But if there's another issue like that, we can help out. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What the protocol on COVID right now for the camp?
We don't know yet. Being as far out as it is, we've asked the same thing, and so right now it's sort of a waiting game. So kids ask the same thing, and we've asked the same thing, and we don't know. So we're waiting to find out. So it's a solid question, and I have no solid answer for you.
Even with the whole sleeping, if a
So,
question.
I can maybe
Yeah.
address a little bit of that. My son worked as a camp counselor all summer long, and so camp is pretty well adapted to how to air the cabins for that and what their protocols are for it and cleaning for that. So they sent one child home in the entire summer camp season. So they have protocols, we'll have protocols, and the other school goes before us, right?
Yeah, Riverside goes first week of March,
Right.
so we'll kind of know what camp did with them. But I mean, there will be 14 kids in a cabin, 13 kids in a cabin. I mean, that's, yeah. So, but in terms of masks and stuff, I have no idea. We'll just have to, because we have to kind of follow both. We'll have to follow HSE protocol, and we'll have to follow whatever camp's protocol is. So, you know, if things are how they are right now, then it would be when they're walking around on trail, they won't have to wear a mask if they don't want to. When they're eating, they won't. When they're sleeping, they won't. And when they're square dancing, they won't. All the other times inside, they'll wear their masks. They eat at a table with 10 people, and those are the same people the entire time, and food's brought to that table. So it's family style. I don't remember if you mentioned that or not. So they don't go up and get in line like here. They bring it to their table, and the food's all at their table. That's how they do the food at camp. So yeah, we'll just have to kind of wait and see what we're looking at in 3 months.
And 2 other schools have already gone this year, correct?
Yeah, the HSE and Fall Creek went in the fall.
But they don't have to go. We want them to go. But again, we will never overrule parents. It's always your choice on that one. They don't pick their groups. My goal is that they do get to pick a friend. It's the best way to make kids have fun while they are at camp. Sometimes it may get to pick 2 or 3 friends. As I told them, the more I trust a kid, the more likely they are to have more friends in their group. If I can't trust a kid as much, I told them, have a friend that is a trustworthy kid, and then I can put you together. Because the groups are being led by high school kids, I'm not going to put multiple kids in a group that might not make the best choices. And so hopefully every kid that goes has a friend that, as long as they give me a name of a friend, we will try to get that friend into their group. So that is my goal. I build the groups for everyone that is going this first session. There's Wi-Fi there. The Wi-Fi does not work real well there, so at least not the last time we were there, so I don't expect a whole lot of Wi-Fi issues, which they'll complain about.
It works really well for parents and teachers if you have to go and work. It's
Yes.
great. Camp has Wi-Fi. It does not work for kids.
And yeah, and a lot of it is where they are versus where you guys will be working during the day. You guys will have access to it. Out in the cabins, not quite as much from that one. And so we tell them not to bring their phones, because the problem is they're going to take their phone with them throughout the day, and unless you have a good waterproof case, it might rain on them, they might fall into a creek. And so I told them, be careful, if you bring it, we're going to tell you not to, and every time we're going to have a kid that falls down onto a rock and breaks the phone, or falls into a creek. And so that's why we tell them not to bring the phones from there. But other than that, I mean, they're not going to have a lot of access to the internet.
They're freaked out about Snapchat streaks, just so you know.
Oh yes.
They are freaked out about their Snapchat streak. Tuesday or Thursday for the second session kids, because, you know, Monday they can do it before they leave. They're home on Wednesday, they're good. Tuesday, they don't know what they're going to do. There's talk of sharing their Snapchat so somebody can keep the streak alive. They have got to get this figured out, though, because if not, they may not make it.
Priorities.
By the way, the camp has landlines also, so I know some people are like, well, if they're on their phone, I can't get a hold of them. You can get a hold of camp. We'll give you the number. If something were to happen and you needed to get a hold of us, they just come and find one of us, and then we know where their study group's going to be, and we go get them. And so
we run around with walkie-talkies the whole
Right.
time we're there, so that we can so as soon as you call down, we walkie-talkie each other, and we can track them down.
And if we need to get a hold of you, we will call you. As Mrs. Kletch would like to reiterate, if you get a number, a call from a 765 area code during that week, answer the phone. Don't let it go to voicemail.
Especially at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, if it's in the middle of the night, there may be a kid who's sick and needs somebody to come get them. So that would be nice.
Cabin parents. So this is where we had signing up over here with Mrs. Kletch. we need cabin parents to go, because as I tell the kids, because I tell them your parents can go, they freak out. I tell them the other option is teachers sleep in your cabins. And that freaked them out. I said, so now your parents sound good? Like, no, yeah. And so that's where parents come in. Your job is really easy as a cabin parent. Essentially, your job is at nighttime, no kid dies. And then throughout the day, you get to hike, walk around. You get to tell your boss the Wi-Fi is awful. And then you get to just bring you coffee in the morning. You get a chance to kick back and look at the river as
There's
it goes by.
coffee 24 hours a day.
There's nonstop coffee that's there, filtered water. It is great. We do need more dads to go right now. I mean, we can probably add more moms, but we could definitely use more dads signing up if you would be interested. You get a chance to hike. You can fish. I know we have one dad coming who's bringing a mountain bike. And so all of those things, we would love to have you up there. It is fun. We have yet to have a parent go who has not enjoyed it. And so aside from the evening time when you're in there with the kid, it's an easy time. And even then at the nighttime, I know the thought of being in a room with a bunch of 13-year-olds scares you, but they are so exhausted at night. You spend 30 minutes with them still running around, and then you turn off the lights, like, and then they're out.
The girls will giggle the first night for an hour, so you'll have to deal with that. Mrs. Clutch will come and yell at them. The boys will fart,
Yeah.
and their shoes will smell.
Yes.
And veteran dads like Mr. Collier will make them put all their shoes outside and not keep them in the cabin.
Yes.
But yeah, and you, if you have to leave during the day to go somewhere, go
Yeah.
work or go do something, you can. We don't need you during the day. There's nothing to do. I mean, there's plenty to do, but there's nothing for you to do for us. We just need you there 9 o'clock at night until they leave the cabin in the morning, which is 7:45 on the first night or first day, and the second day they're out of the cabin at like 7:30. So, and at that point you're free.
And you do get to sit at your kid's table for meals. And so that's what I tell them, is like, if your parent comes, they love you, they get to sit at your table. And so you do get to interact with them during the table time and stuff like that. Yes?
How does it work if you're a single parent and your child is a male?
You sleep in a girls' cabin with a bunch of girls. We call you a perfect parent because we can put you in any cabin that we want. It's great. Yes, you
We
can
usually try to be
absolutely
nice
go.
to you with which cabin we put you in.
Yeah. But yes, absolutely. You do not have to go as the same gender as your child. That is a great question.
You can go ahead and go to the next slide. We're kind of there. Questions? I saw where we were going, and I'm like, we've already jumped to it. So if you have questions, we've hit the end of all the stuff. Again, we send out the weekly emails. If you guys have questions, you should be good. I've pointed the kids out. I have, if you're a hero, I have like a whole web page built around this with all the links and information for you. Otherwise, you can just send me an email and I can answer questions or send you a link to it from there. And then if you want to be a cabin parent, see Mrs. Kletch. We'd love to have you. If you want to pay, see Mrs. Kletch. She'd love to take your money. If you have questions, you can see any of us. We're happy to answer them for you.
And if you are a STARS parent who has questions, those go to Mr. Stump. So he's the one who has all the paperwork forms and things like that.
All right. Thank you much. That's all we have for you.